On today's DNVR Broncos show, we are breaking down Courtland Sutton's 4-year, $92 million extension. Plus, we've got good news on the injury front, according to Sean Payton, regarding Drew Sanders. And we were just to practice. We're going to break down the 5th Broncos training camp practice, all starting now. Court is in session, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Courtland Sutton getting a massive 4-year, $92 million extension, and we are going to break it down on the DNVR Broncos podcast, live from the Toyota Lounge, driven by your local Front Range Toyota stores inside the DNVR bar. Fresh off from the Broncos' 5th training camp practice, we got a big show for you. Henry Chisholm, Yahir, and Logan behind the camera. Zach Stevens rocking and rolling with you today. And Henry, we just got to dive in because it is a big show. We got good injury news on the Drew Sanders front, according to Sean Payton. We've got an entire practice, full pads to break down. And we're going to start off with the big takeaway today. And that is Courtland Sutton getting a 4-year, $92 million extension.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. He's your best receiver. You've got to keep him happy. You have to keep him around. Yeah, I mean, not a huge surprise, I guess, that happened, right?
It's not a surprise at all. In fact, this goes back to, I reported, and I wrote an article on thednvr.com, so you guys wouldn't have been surprised either, in March, after I had talked to a lot of sources, that it was very clear the Broncos were going to extend Courtland Sutton before the season started. And it's just because something happened last year, Henry. And what happened last year, Sean had already spent a year with Courtland before last year started. He liked Court. The George Payton had already extended Court before. But what happened last year to make this a no-brainer, and that I realized that a deal was going to happen way back in March, was Bo Nix fell in love with Courtland Sutton. And not only did he become, what was he, the Broncos' number 1 receiver, but he was Bo Nix's number 1 receiver. And for any quarterback, you don't want to let their favorite target go, but especially for a young quarterback that is off to a really good start to his career. When Bo Nix fell in love with him, and Courtland Sutton was clearly the Broncos' number 1 receiver and put up over 1,000 yards and has 18 touchdowns over the past 2 seasons. When Bo identified him as my guy, that's when everyone in the Broncos building said, okay, we don't know exactly what the deal is going to look like, but Courtland Sutton is going to be a Denver Bronco beyond the contract he's on now. They get that done today.
Yeah, no, it's a good deal. Dude, here's the thing. I'm so excited for the 2025 season. Having Courtland around in 2027 just feels like a problem for later. But, I mean, it's obviously big news. It's good to see. I think guarantees mean it's tough to say with the early news. I think Mike Kliss said it's $41 million. Assuming that's like the practical and not the just like today signing day guarantees. And if that's the case, he's probably here for another 2 years. You've got him 2025, 26, 27. If things go well, then you'd imagine this plays out in a way where you get probably maybe some partial guarantees. Maybe even not in year 3. And then year 4, it's just a team option where if he at 33 years old, 34 years old at that point, you're still thinking he's worth $23 million a year. I guess at that point might be more like 26, 27. Then you get to hold on to him.
So let's break down the details of this contract because, Henry, I think this is a win for the Broncos. I think this is a win for Courtland Sutton, and I think this is a win for Bo Nix. I think this is a great contract all the way around. And ideally, when you go into a contract situation, Henry, you want it to be a win-win-win for everyone. But typically, someone gets a little left out, and it's a win more so for one side. I think this is a pretty darn fair deal. If I have to give a win to one side, though, I'm going to win for the Broncos. You mentioned the $41 million. So let's take a step back really quick. This is a 4-year extension. So this year, nothing changes except the signing bonus that he gets, the guaranteed money that he gets. So he's still on. He's going to finish the deal he's on, which is essentially 1 year, $14 million deal, fully guaranteed right there. Then his 4-year extension kicks in. So Henry, Courtland Sutton is locked up with the Broncos now through the 2029 season. You said you're not worried about 2027. How about 2028? How about 2029? He's locked up here almost until 2030. So he has 5 more years under contract with the Broncos right now. The $14 million is guaranteed. And then what the Broncos did, that $41 million includes this upcoming season. So his new deal is an additional $27 million. So he essentially signed a 4-year, $92 million deal with $27 million of additional guarantees built into what was already guaranteed this season. Henry, this means that,
that's not good for Court.
I see the look on your face
because now
there.
all of a sudden you could be getting out of this after next season. For perspective,
this is
Jerry Jeudy's was $17.5 million per year. He got $41 million in guarantees.
Right.
So you're getting the same number of guarantees between Jerry and Court, and also Court gets another. There's another year tacked onto that, and he's getting another $7 million a year.
Yeah.
So percentage-wise, he's significantly behind Jerry.
Can you look up what Calvin Ridley's deal was in terms of guaranteed money? Because Courtland Sutton signed the exact same in terms of years and total money as Calvin Ridley signed last year. Calvin Ridley was 29 years old when he signed the deal last year, just coming off a 1,000-yard season. He gets 4 years, $92 million. Well, Courtland Sutton, 29 years old right now, coming off a 1,000-yard season. He gets 4 years, $92 million. So that was really the base for this deal. Exact same thing. My guess is Calvin Ridley's guarantees might be a little different.
They have it listed at $47 million.
Okay,
I'm trying to figure out if there's
more.
actually, again, it's a massive difference if that doesn't include the end of the contract.
That's true. Which
is why I saw Mike tweeted that. I have a tough time believing. Is that true?
I've confirmed it.
Really?
Yep. And so that does make it a win for the Broncos. So I think this contract's a win for Courtland Sutton because he gets $92 million, or at least he gets $41 million guaranteed that he's going to have. He was looking for a payday. Boy, he gets that payday. The Broncos win because you keep Bo Nix's favorite weapon. Bo Nix wins because he gets to keep his favorite weapon. And the Broncos also keep a guy that could soon be even higher up in their record book. So the way this contract actually breaks down, Henry, to get into the details, Courtland's obviously on the team this year at $14 million. He's on the team in 2026 because there's that $27 additional million guaranteed. Henry, top-end receivers are getting paid $30, $35 million a year. So that $27 million, that's palatable for one season. If something were to happen, you wanted to move on, it's really like a 1-year extension for $27 million. And then the Broncos have 3 more years of control on how they would want to move forward with Courtland. So in reality, this is a big win for the Broncos. I still think all sides win, but if you have to say who really won this, it's the Broncos and George Payton. They did a really good job with this.
Yeah. I mean, Courtland's a great receiver. He isn't one of the best in the NFL. So it's $23 million a year was kind of exactly what you'd expect. After seeing, Garrett Bowles, his contract, I think technically 3 years or maybe even 4 years, but really it's a 1-year deal where you can keep him after. Dre Greenlaw, same thing. And so for a guy who's, when does he turn 30? It's got to be pretty soon, I would think. October he turns 30. So to keep him through, he'll be 31 when you have the first opportunity to move on. Can keep him 32, 33, 34. It kind of makes sense to have the opportunity to get out of that deal early. But yeah, it's interesting that's the guarantees are so low.
Yeah, I completely agree, and that's why I think it's a big win for the Broncos. We have a lot of people chime in the Toyota chat. A lot of people love it. We have someone who says, from Caleb, who says it was a way overpay. I think the way we're breaking it down right here shows not really. The Broncos have a lot of flexibility with this contract, and he and Calvin Ridley are now tied for the 18th highest paid receiver in the NFL. That is not an overpay at all. Courtland Sutton is your number 1 on this team. He has 2,000-yard seasons in his career, 18 touchdowns in the past 2 seasons. I don't think that's an overpay. Typically, too, when you sign these deals, and Henry, you know this, when you sign a deal, you don't pay a guy for where they're slotted. You typically have to pay way above the type of player they actually are, because then the deal's only going to get knocked down when more deals get signed. By the time this contract kicks in next year, Henry, he's probably going to be the 25th highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. In 4 years from now, going into that final season in 2029, he'll probably be the 55th highest paid receiver in the NFL or something like that. So you see the number 23 million, you see 92 million guaranteed or total in the contract, and you think, wow, that's a lot of money. You break it down, and it really is a fair deal. And the Broncos, I don't think, overpaid for Courtland Sutton.
No, because he was what? He was 16th in receiving yards last season. And you look at the guys in front of him. I wonder if Garrett Wilson, he wouldn't be on a rookie contract, right? No, he might be.
He just signed his new deal
so he's
a week ago.
He'd be in front of court as he should be. You have Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is on a rookie deal. So again, he's not somebody who's going to be getting paid more, even though he probably should be, which means that when you're ranked 18th in salary, really there's like 6 more guys in front of you. And so when you're just comparing him to guys who have their second contracts, he's a lot higher up on the list. You know, Lad McConkey doesn't really matter. Malik Neighbors doesn't really matter. Brian Thomas Jr. doesn't really matter. And for a guy who's already 16th, you know, the 2 tight ends who are in front of him don't really matter. Like, he was probably almost top 10 in receiving yards among guys who weren't on rookie contracts last year. So yeah, it's a good value.
Court is now quietly the second highest paid player on the Denver Broncos, only behind Pat Surtain. And it's what's so cool about this is Court now legitimately has an opportunity to start and finish his career with the same team, with no movement in between. Drafted as a second-round pick almost a decade ago. We're kind of coming up on that. He will now be, 34, 35 by the time this deal expires? I think he'll be 35 by the time this deal runs up. And if he does stay on that deal the entire time, you would probably think that that is his career right now. And in today's NFL, that's so rare to happen. Now Courtland has signed his second big deal with the Broncos, both under George Payton. It shows just how good he is, not only on the field, but off the field as well. And Henry, Courtland Sutton right now is the 11th all-time leading receiver in terms of yards for the Broncos. He's 21 yards behind Emmanuel Sanders. He'll break that on the first drive of the Broncos season this year. Then, if he has a 1,000-yard season this year, he's going to move into the top 5, which is, I mean, historic. We're talking about number 14 now, potentially being in the Broncos rafters once his time is up here. This is a big-time player in Denver Broncos history.
Yeah, needs 1533 to be in front of everybody except for Rod Smith, Demaryius Thomas, and Shannon Sharp. And so to be 4th in that group is pretty impressive.
Yep. Because McCaffrey is 5th right now, I think.
Is that who it is?
I think, or 4th, yeah.
I had to find my tweet from when he was at an Avs game in April. But yeah, I think he would still need probably at least like an AFC Championship win to get into the Ring of Fame. Assuming he goes through, let's say he plays all 4 years, tapers off at the end, it comes out to an average of like $750 a year, wind up with another 3,000 on there. The statistical case would be there. It's just the level of success. Like, obviously there's the highs. Demaryius Thomas had 1,400-yard seasons back to back or whatever. So you probably do need some level of success in order for him to get the bump into the Ring of Fame. But he's, with the new contract, he's on that track.
I don't know. That's a good question. Probably an offseason conversation to talk about just what exactly do you need. Top 5 at your position, you at least have a case, but that's a fun one that we can break down in a many months from now. But Henry, I think that this contract could lead to other contracts rolling in at maybe the exact same contract value. Let's talk about that after I give a shout out to our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing, where we're talking about the local team here, the Denver Broncos. We're talking about another local team over at Red Hawk Roofing. We're a local team here at DNVR. They support us, and you're supporting us as well. And if you want to support another local team, check out our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing, where they're the best in the business. They have free, no-obligation property inspections. Whether you're looking for your home or your business, they've got it down. They've got quality materials, decades of experience, quick response time, and they have free in-depth photo reports for all of your inspections. And here's the key thing. We don't know what we're looking at, civilians, from our roof, if it's healthy or not. You need professionals out there, and our friends over at Red Hawk Roofing are your professionals. So go visit them at redhawkroofing.com or give them a call at 720-771-8921 and make sure to tell them that DNVR sent you.
Yes, and also, if you're working on your roof, you might as well work on your floor as well. And Empire is the best place to go for that. Empire is the best floors. Wherever you're trying to go, Empire is the best. They've got the best. It's Cake Mortgage. I was reading the wrong one. We can flip though. I was just gonna run with it. Cake Mortgage is also great if you're trying to get your roof done. You could go over to Cake Mortgage because they have all sorts of different mortgages that you can do. Whether you're trying to buy a new rental property, they have a cool program there where you can send just like an appraiser who goes and says like rent here would be this much, and if it covers what the loan would be, then you get approved. It's a pretty cool new product, very forward thinking, especially with so many people who want to be owning rental properties. There's also different products for people who might not have traditional income, don't have their W-2, whatever it may be, self-employed. They've got something for you as well. So if you've always dreamed about owning income property, or you're building your real estate legacy, call 1-800-EAT-CAKE or head to the link in the description because life's better with Cake. Cake Mortgage Corp, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 1734623, licensed in Colorado by the Division of Real Estate. Terms and conditions apply.
And shout out to everyone that's tuning in with us. And speaking of tuning in with us, if you want to tune in with us live on Friday, and when I mean live, I mean in person, we've got Benny Fowler doing his film breakdown at the DNVR bar Friday night, and this is open to the public now. We want as many people here to break down film with Benny Fowler as possible. So go to thednvr.com/events to register for this RSVP and be here Friday 8:30 or 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. where Benny's going to be breaking down film. It's a great way to kick off the season, to get training camp going, and to learn from one of the best in the biz in terms of Benny breaking down film. So make sure to be here and go register that event. We'll also have the link in our description. So make sure to check us out. Also, hit us with a thumbs up if you're tuning in live. We really, really appreciate it. It's awesome to have everyone support, especially on a big day like today. And Henry, the only thing that can make today bigger, and we will talk about what happened to practice, but I think that this could open the floodgates for potential deals with Zach Allen, with Nick Bonito, potentially Jonathan Cooper as well. We talked about how there was a big 3, big 4 in terms of, who did I say?
Jonathan Cooper.
Yes, I meant John Franklin Myers.
Plan for 2035.
Yeah, exactly. With John Franklin Myers. So this is a deal where I know when it came to some of these guys, they were just waiting for the first deal to happen, and then they thought that would kick off other deals. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Nick Bonito deal come through and potentially even a Zach Allen deal come through fairly soon. But Henry, to wrap up this conversation, who says no to if the Broncos approach, let's say Zach Allen, and they say 4 years, $92 million.
It depends on the guarantees.
No, we're leaving those out of this right now.
Well, that's all that matters. That's what matters.
So do you think they would take 20? Do you think Zach Allen would take $23 million a year?
I mean, fully guaranteed, 100%. No guarantees, 0%.
Well,
if it's like a standard,
just $23 million a year, a standard deal.
Yeah, I mean,
where it's about 2.5 years guaranteed.
It's close. Again, when you're in that ballpark, it's about the little things, or it's like 23 versus 24 versus 22 versus 25. I think it's right there. Like I don't think he sees that and says, "Oh, there's no way." I think it just comes down to like the little stuff in there. Are you happy with it? And
assuming that all of that little stuff is pretty standard, I think that deal is done. I think Zach Allen ideally wants 25. When you ideally want a number, you're willing to come down a little bit. So I think that the exact contract that Courtland Sutton just signed, outside of the guarantees, I think Zach Allen would sign up for. Nick Bonito gets offered 4 years, $92 million. Do you think he says yes?
Again, yeah. I mean, it's right there. If he's another one where he in particular compared to Zach Allen, that's even more guarantees because you've just seen it the one time. You know, could it be more similar to Court where there are some early outs? I doubt it at $23 million, but there's probably a number. I think like they all should be kind of right there, except for JFM, who's probably more like in the $16 million a year range.
Yep. But with those three guys, the big three, Court, Zach Allen, and Nick Bonito, I think they could all get realistically the same years in terms of 4 and the same total money, 92, which is wild, especially coming off a year where just last year the Broncos signed Pat Surtain to a 4-year, $96 million deal. You're just giving everyone nearly $100 million deals. And so don't be surprised if the floodgates are now open and other deals get done very, very soon from what I'm hearing.
Last thing on Court?
Yes.
So Court now has 5 years on the contract. Pat Bryant has 4. Troy Franklin and Devon Bailey have 3. And Marvin Mims has 2. So you can get out of the Courtland deal after 2 years. And, you know, it's probably easier to get out after year 3 or year 4, whatever it may be. Those other guys, you'd imagine first contract of a new deal or first year of a new deal would be really cheap. And so when you look at that, you can afford to say, hey, Marvin Mims turns into a great NFL receiver. You want to give him $30 million a year even. You could make that work. It might mean eventually you get out of Court's deal early, but because you still have that control and so many cheap players at that position, you don't really lose any flexibility. Like you're not at risk of losing any of your other receivers. Essentially, you turn it into your outside linebackers room, outside Nick Bonito, where you're kind of just locked in for the foreseeable future with this group. And when you like the group, which they obviously do, it makes sense to do that.
Yeah, and this offseason, the Broncos have showed just how much they truly like their receivers. All they've done is went out and signed Sherfield to a small deal, and they went out and drafted a third-round pick on Pat Bryant. So that's all they've done. They've paid Court. They've invested in the guys that they currently have. Okay, so let's move on to practice. And actually, really quick, the funny thing to wrap up Court, today's conversation was an hour away from being so different because Court did not practice in 7-on-7s. He did not practice in team today and on Saturday. There was drama bubbling below the surface, at least from an outside perspective. It really seemed like it. Your number one receiver isn't practicing in the biggest parts of practice. Well, they just wiped all of that drama away by signing this deal. So I'm glad that we did not have to talk about it. Courtland Sutton, I would imagine, will be taking nearly every team rep and 7-on-7 rep tomorrow with Bo Nix. And it's good to get this resolved now instead of letting it bleed even further down the road. Sean told us on the podium today after practice the deal was really close to being done. He ain't lying. Deal gets done about 20 minutes after Sean talked. So Court is here to stay. Let us know how you're feeling about it in the Toyota chat. Hit us with a thumbs up. So that's good news for the Broncos. There was other good news from Sean Payton today, at least the way that he phrased it. So Saturday, the Broncos were at practice before their day off, and Drew Sanders left the field on a cart, which is never good to see, especially with a guy who was battling back from an injury that he sustained last season that seemed potentially serious. And the good news is yesterday, well, this isn't the good news, but yesterday we found out that Drew suffered a tendon injury in his foot. More tests to see exactly what the timetable would be. Well, Sean Payton today comes to the podium and gives us the good news of all of this. Let's just hear from Sean directly, going out of his way to talk about Drew.
Again, I mean, for us, our first day in pads, schedule is set where it's not as long on the field, and that'll gradually build up again. I thought we did pretty well overall, though, carrying them. One update, just on Drew, because there's been a lot written. The news for us was good news in that it's a ligament in his foot and it's not a tendon. What does that mean? It's going to be certainly north of 4 to 6 weeks, but the tendon was what we were concerned about. So I'm not going to try to spell it, but the ligament repair is a much easier one than that of a tendon. So we were all pretty happy with that. I'll update you when we get a timeline. And there have been some cases where there's surgery, some where there's not. And I think he's doing the right thing right now, kind of exploring those options. Any questions from today?
Sean? So, I mean, you can see from the way Sean is phrasing this, I mean, he's going to be out a month to a month and a half. It kind of the minimum is what it seems like from Sean. And the way Sean is phrasing it in terms of it being good news, you can tell just how afraid the team was and Drew was when the injury happened that it was potentially going to be even longer. So he probably won't be back by the beginning of the season. And like Sean said, he's still getting more opinions and potentially maybe goes that surgery route, maybe doesn't go that route. So we'll keep our eye on Drew and his recovery and update you when we know it. But it seems like it's good news from where it started on Saturday.
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse. You don't lose the whole season. 6 weeks from the injury would be the day before the first game. I'd imagine that 4 to 6 weeks is if there's no surgery, and that if there is surgery, then that's when you add on the extra couple weeks or whatever that is. Yeah, it's tough to put in perspective because he's not missing the whole season, and in that way it's good news. He is missing training camp, though, and for a guy who just hasn't played a lot of football, that's the one thing that's kind of keeping him from being one of the Broncos' better players, is just the fact that he hasn't been able to play a bunch of football. Missing your one opportunity during the year to show up and play football for a month is huge for a guy like that, because going through practices where, the first team takes 4 plays, the second team takes 4 plays, and the third team takes 4 plays. Everything is super even. Everybody basically gets the same number of opportunities. To miss that and then show up in the regular season when they're not worried about developing guys, they're just implementing a game plan, figuring out what they're going to do in any given week. Like, it's just another knock to his development. And so while it's definitely good news that he's not done for the year, it does change a lot about how this linebacker room shakes out. He doesn't get the chance to prove himself. He doesn't get a chance to try to unseat Justin Strnad. Doesn't get a chance to fend off Lavelle Bailey behind him. And because of that, when the season starts, or even when he gets back, the odds of him fitting into the rotation quickly are just so slim. We saw last year, like, they found a role for him when he came back from the injury. Missed 13 weeks with the Achilles. First play back, he gets a sack because there's that third down role that he is good at. But there's just no opportunity for him to develop the rest of his game, and it's just a big blow for him. Yeah,
and you speak of opportunity, Henry. This is a big opportunity for Lavelle Bailey, who is off to a really hot start of camp. He has made so many plays. Now he's going to have that opportunity to make plays in the run game as the Broncos' number 4 inside linebackers. So obviously you got the starters, Singleton and Greenlaw. Got an update on Singleton in a second. And then your first backup inside linebacker, Justin Strnad, that was going to be that way, probably regardless of what happened this year with Drew. Now you get Lavelle Bailey, who has that opportunity to become the next backup right next to Strnad. And man, I'll tell you what, the Broncos really like the talent of Lavelle Bailey, and he's starting to prove them right by keeping him around his undrafted rookie season last year. Sean talked about Lavelle at the podium today and said, yeah, he's had a really impressive camp so far. Pointed to a couple days ago when he had, I think, 2 pass breakups. So he's catching the Broncos' eyes right there. So we'll keep you updated on Drew Sanders. Speaking of the inside linebackers, Alex Singleton walked off the field with a trainer today, and I'm told Broncos country, you can rest easy. It's not a deal that's going to hold him out multiple weeks. I wouldn't expect him back tomorrow, but I do know that he is going to be okay by the time the first preseason game rolls around. So it is not a big injury, so should be okay on that front.
Yep, he was showing his thumb to the trainer. And who knows if that's what it is, but when the guy's walking off showing the thumb, and that's one of the tough ones, is that he walks off the field and you're like, you could tweet this, but the official rule is you can't speculate about injuries until after the coach speaks after practice. And so you can either put out there, Singleton walked off, but you can't say what happened, or you can wait until after the press conference and then you can say what happened. So there's always like that big scare, even when it's like, oh, he's showing his hand to the guy. And that doesn't mean that it's not something else that's bothering him. But when you see that, it's easy to speculate.
I would, again, you might worry tomorrow if he's not on the field, which he won't be. But don't be worried about his long term. He's going to be okay. All right, Henry, let's dive into what else we saw on the field today after I give a shout out to our friends over at Reliable Toyota, where just a couple of days ago when I was driving from Broncos practice to the bar, I saw a different car brand, and they had a bumper sticker that said something along the lines of like, I should have never gotten rid of my Toyota. And that just shows you how good Toyota is. When people move on from their Toyotas, they're like, no, I wish I wouldn't have done it. So take this person's advice and never move on from your Toyota. And when you need a new car, go get yourself a Toyota. There's so many stores in the Front Range that can get you hooked up, and whatever you're looking for, they have that car for you. Whether it's a truck, whether it's a hybrid. How about a hybrid truck? They've got the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. They have 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from. So if you need a new car, visit a local Front Range Toyota store at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Rapio and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places.
And shout out to our friends at Monarch Money, because managing money is important. Your money goes a lot further when you're paying attention to it. Is something that I've found. When you just kind of like show up and you're like, oh yeah, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. All of a sudden it runs out pretty quickly. But when you realize like, oh, I've got this much money until payday, or this much money until here, then all of a sudden you get a little bit more control. Monarch is the best, according to Wall Street Journal, the best budgeting app of 2025. Over 30,000 five-star reviews. You can combine all of your stuff into one place, all your accounts, your credit cards, investments. You always know where your money stands without the hassle. You can get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code DNVR at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DNVR.
All right, Henry, what was your biggest takeaway on the field at Broncos today?
It's still Troy Franklin for me. It's just every day he does something that makes me think that you should be buying all the Troy Franklin stock that you can. It's just the difference in his size. Like, he's doing things that he couldn't do last year. I think today there was a play, 7-on-7s. I think he was against a linebacker, zone coverage, and to be able to get into the body of a linebacker and then break outside and catch the ball. That's the kind of thing he didn't do last year. You know, we've talked a lot about it. Less than 7% of his targets last year outside the numbers, or outbreaking routes above the line of scrimmage. And so part of that is like they just didn't ask him to do it. But even when they did, the results were not good at all. And so to be able to see the guy who was 178 pounds or whatever last year find ways to use his size, he's 6'3", he added some weight, it just opens up his game so much more. And I think that we've talked about him quite a bit in the past few days because of how well he's played, but it's just over and over that you look at him and say like, oh, there's no reason this guy can't be a really good NFL receiver, and it looks like he's taken that step. The other play was the one that, you know, I think Brandon Jones said that PJ Locke grew an inch because of the back surgery, which is interesting. Yep. If he'd grown 2 inches, he might have been able to pick off that pass on the sideline.
I don't know. I think it just went right through his hands regardless.
Did it? Would have been a little easier if it was a little bit lower. But Troy Franklin was able to haul it in. It's
out of bounds.
Was it out of bounds? I couldn't tell, but still, to see him go up and catch a pass like that on the sideline, that's just not something that there was no like back shoulder game with Troy Franklin last year. It's just you run forward, or we give you the ball and then you try to get somewhere. Just seeing him try to do those things, he looks like a totally different player. Totally,
100%. I'm buying stock in number 11. And just because you mentioned it, that pass that PJ Locke should have intercepted, that the defense went crazy about because it just went right through his hands. They're like, man, you should have had it. Was not thrown by Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Just to ease everyone's concerns there.
First day that he didn't have like a throw that was inches from an interception.
Sheesh, that's tough.
But
I don't know. I remember two. Well, yeah, it would have been Friday and Saturday. Your first two. Yeah, so
that was not that acclimation period. I don't know what happened there.
They're doing the exact same thing.
Okay.
But so Henry, you're buying stock in number 11. after today's practice, I'm continuing to buy stock in number 1. So we just like all the ones on this show. Evan Ingram, this was his day today. 3 of the 5 passes thrown by Bo Nix in team periods went to Evan Ingram and were complete to Evan Ingram. In fact, I don't know yet he did. Bo had 1 completion on the day in team periods that did not go to Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's going to be very important. Now, Courtland Sutton's going to be back in the mix on these team periods. I expect more to go Sutton's way since he hasn't been out there these past few days during team. But Evan Ingram is just going to be that dude. Benny and I talked about it, and Benny thinks Evan's going to have a big year, but he warned me about Evan going for 1,000 yards. No, Evan's going for 1,000 yards this season, 10 touchdowns. He's going to have a monstrous year. We just keep seeing that chemistry grow more and more with Bo Nix and Sean Payton's offense. Evan Ingram's everywhere, specifically the middle of the field where I think Bo Nix is really going to use him. No highlight plays in the passing game today. A 10, 15-yard completion to Ingram in the middle of the field because, Henry, the pads were on, and Sean wanted to see how the pads look specifically in the run game. A lot of runs in this, and what I learned from the running game today is it's clear what we thought was going to happen with R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins being the Broncos' ground game is very clear. Not only were these guys, clearly getting the nod from their coaches that they're the top guys, but then they look different than the rest of this group when they have the ball in their hands. And Garrett Bowles said something after practice today. He said, now we have guys that can stretch the field on runs and or stretch it to the sideline. And that is something that I have really noticed with both of these guys, JK and RJ. I think that's going to be utilized a ton this season, especially from the 2 new guys on the team that weren't here last year.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted today, I think the biggest news of Broncos camp so far was what Garrett Bowles said, that they're trying to stretch that outside zone running game. And because, Quinn had said something about there's a new philosophy in the running game. And oh, well, what could that be? What's the big change here? And then Sean got asked about it and didn't really give anything. To hear Garrett say that and add that, the emphasis for them coming into training camp is the outside zone running, that's huge. And to me, it's, like I said, the biggest news at camp because that's their answer to why the blocking statistically was so good last year, but the results in the running game was not. They think, and I agree, I've been writing about it all offseason about how you have J.K. Dobbins, you should be trying these zone runs. His big breakout at Ohio State, that was the year Ryan Day took over and implemented a zone running scheme, and then he goes for 2,000 yards. The year before, he was disappointing, 1,000 yards, started whatever, but that was the year he broke out. In the NFL, we haven't been able to see it a whole bunch because he's in those Harbaugh power systems. And to give him the opportunity to be that kind of stretch and cut type of guy, that should make him play so much better. I mean, his vision is kind of the calling card. This should unlock that. R.J. Harvey, again, the Broncos said this offseason, they had him graded as the running back with the best vision in this draft. You see it on the film. He has the speed to press the edge, hit those cutback lanes. And so for Garrett to say that and say that's the thing that they're working on. And there were other clues. I mean, Quinn Meyers, end of last year, said when he was asked, what are you going to be working on this offseason? It's the backside cutoff blocks. So you run the zone this way, it's getting in front of the guy and creating that cutback lane. So there have been all these clues. I think this is huge. And because last year there was a whole bunch of it that was just about the versatility. They're running the counters, they're running the pin and pulls, they're doing all sorts of different stuff. And there's value in that. But sometimes saying, here's what we're going to lock in on. This is going to be our fastball. This is what teams have to account for. And then working off of that can really unlock things. So I'm fired up. It opens up the bootleg game for Bo, which is interesting. Again, most passing yards in the NFL last year when running. In theory, you get more of those going. Our favorite throw at camp was one on one of those plays, the bootleg where he throws it back the other way. Who knows if it'll work out in the end? Again, like Dobbins, does he still have the speed to scare defense to the edge and create those lanes? You hope so. But it's good to know what their answer is to that problem they had, which is the guys are blocking. You're just not finding ways to exploit that.
Yep, and then I just loved what I saw today in terms of how the offensive line is moving when they're going to the outside, and it's an athletic group. I mean, everyone talks about how athletic Garrett Bowles is, and that's going to be on display. And then JK and RJ, that speed is also going to be on display. And I think we're starting to see some flashes of RJ's vision that the Broncos liked. And JK is just, again, you look at him and you think like, home run hitter, big play guy. Not the vision the Broncos have for him. Not that they're going to take away from that, but they view him as an every down guy, as an every sort of thing guy. Sean Payton keeps talking about it and pointing to it. When he talks to JK, he says, man, we've seen it before in the NFL game. It's all pointing to him being your week 1 starter, with RJ Harvey getting 46% of the offensive snaps, JK getting 50%, and then Jaleel getting 4% of the snaps. I think that's how it's going to break down come week 1.
I kind of wonder if their third running back isn't on the roster.
Potentially.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, when the news came out today that Cordero Patterson got cut, I was like, he's kind of a Sean Payton guy. I've never been like a huge fan of that, but the idea of like a true joker, not that you put him on the field all that much, but if push came to shove, he has that versatility. Like, could that be a weapon? Could you find things for him in the return game? Like, I don't know who's going to be out there, but I think whoever they choose to be the third, it might not be here right now.
Maybe it's Courtland Sutton. Maybe they said in your
Mims
deal, we're going to make you a running back as
Marvin
well.
Mims
It's actually
good.
probably going to be Marvin Mims who gets that 4% lined up in the backfield as well. I'm kidding about Courtland. Another big takeaway today, Henry, pads were on, and Mike McGlinchey was back on the field wearing pads. Good to see him back out there. Don't know what exactly happened, but we can rest easy tonight knowing that he seems okay. He did not do the team period though, but was out there doing some other drills with the pads on. And first day of pads, Henry, what stuck out to you?
Well, there's the first team period where I'm not sure if they call it like the team run period, but we've seen it 3 years now where it's like, first day in pads, whether they call it team run or not, it's just the offense gets one passing play just to keep the defense honest, and the rest they're just running the ball. And it's a thing that he does a lot during training camp with the first team period, is just like, it's run heavy. We'll throw a pass in there to keep him honest, but whatever they call it, when I realized after like the third play, I was like, I forgot how much I hate this from down at field level, because you can't actually see, like occasionally you see like, that guy was in the backfield, but it's tough to tell who was trying to do what or anything. So you don't get a lot of notes, but it was pretty physical. I'd throw in Dre Greenlaw during the walkthrough. Just decides to hit Michael Burton. I don't know why. Again, like Burton's coming through trying to block whatever. It's a walkthrough. Dre decided, I'm just going to pop this guy. And it really got people going.
And as it should. That's one of the big reasons why you bring Dre Greenlaw to be on this team, is that physicality he brings. And sometimes it shows up in places that you don't expect, like a walkthrough. Exactly. And that is who Dre Greenlaw is. Let's talk about Dre Greenlaw in just a second, because we heard from him for the first time since he became a Bronco. But before we get to that, 2 more notes that I want to point out today. Caleb Lohner, the 7th round pick that played more basketball than football, that only had 4 catches his entire college career, and it went for 4 touchdowns. He's a dude. He is making this team number 84. Now, he's not making catches from Bo Nix yet, but I think he is really impressing me, but also the coaching staff, just in terms of how quickly and how natural the tight end position feels for him, looks for him. And it's not the traditional. He's not going to be a Y. He's not going to be blocking everyone. But as a receiver, he looks smooth. He looks like a natural. So maybe expect him to be on the field a tiny bit this year, but I'm really seeing the vision that Sean Payton had for him.
It's a really weird one for me. So like my last note from Saturday's practice in the notes thing was just that, like, he hasn't really, at least in the 2 practices I saw, I couldn't think of a catch he had during like a competitive drill, and I might be missing one. But on red zone day, when the quarterbacks are just lobbing the ball up in the air and he's going up and catching balls that are 11.5 feet in the air, you're like, this is just fun to watch. Like, I could sit here and watch them throw those passes up there over and over and over again. And I don't know that that's something that you really get better at. Like, if you give him a redshirt year, does he come back next year and like, he's now better at doing that one thing, basically rebounding the football after rebounding basketballs for the past decade? I don't think so. And so I wonder if he is somebody who could just be part of the game plan right away because of that. The other stuff still has to come along, obviously. Like, it's the couple of blocks we've seen have not really been blocks at all. But that's, not probably what he's ever going to be asked to do. And today he finally had like a couple of those catches underneath. You're like, oh, there's something here. Like there is more there. But even if there isn't, like the point of him is, we talked about before, there's really no difference between him and any other 6'8" power forward in the country, other than the fact that he got the 6 months of experience with Utah football. Yep. And it's like, if you either have or you don't. We're talking to Scott Hastings about it. Just like, yeah, when you're that big, why not? As a big guy himself, he said he could do the same thing. Yes.
And my final note from practice, Henry, is I'm going to say it again. I'm probably going to say it every day we see Jeremy out there. But Jeremy Crawshaw just continues to destroy balls on the field. He is kicking them 70 yards. But then today, he would impress me with his placement. A lot of kicks that landed at the 5-yard line or were caught at the 5-yard line. There's still some that are going into the end zone, but I got to tell you what, from I think it was Wednesday or Thursday's practice of last week, about a third of his punts, instead of going in the field of play, were just absolutely slicing and hooking and leaving like 20, 25 yards down the line of scrimmage. You can't have that. That really hasn't happened so far right now. So, it's been a lot better. So, in just a short period of time, Jeremy Crawshaw, his development has really impressed me.
Yeah. The standards are just so high. Where today there's the ones where he's dropping it inside the 10, inside the 5 even. Last year, Riley Dixon had 5 punts go into the end zone, 33 stop inside the 20. And so when you're looking at that as like the baseline, like that's what you're trying to beat. There were a couple too many I thought that drifted in there, but when he gets one, there's obvious talent there. I thought Saturday was a little bit better than today, but there's still a lot to like. And I'd throw in, actually, good question in the chat. If Lohner makes a 53, this is from Daniel, how is he not a healthy scratch on game day? That's the tough thing. It's like, are you really keeping that guy because you already have Ingram to be your move tight end? Well, guess what? Neither of those guys are blockers, so you want to keep 2 other tight ends active. There is a really weird math thing that happens with Caleb Lohner that kind of looms over all this. So I wonder how they go about that. Other thing on those punts, though, there was one that Trent Sherfield jumped into the end zone and couldn't bat it back in. Traymon Smith makes that play. But, it's just one of those things that you think about. And I think Sherfield has a much bigger role than I think a lot of fans would expect. I think when you look at what Lil Jordan Humphrey was for the Broncos last year, Sherfield is like fast Lil Jordan Humphrey to me. And I think that there are going to be a lot of snaps there. And I think that every time he's on the field, there will be tweets saying, how is that not Troy Franklin? How is that not Devon Bailey? Or whoever happens to be on the sideline. I'm high on Sherfield. I think he's going to be doing something other than special teams on most Sundays.
So Mike Kliss has reported what happened to Alex, which I did know. I have a little more info on here.
Okay.
Alex Singleton broke his thumb, according to Mike Kliss. Alex Singleton broke the top of his thumb, according to me. Just broke right off during practice, so he's going to have surgery. He's going to be out just over a week. I'm told he should be back for joint practice against the 49ers next Thursday. So the good news is it's about a week injury, and there's 6 weeks until training camp starts, or until the regular season starts. So plenty of time for him to recover. That's why I said earlier, no need to panic when he's not on the field tomorrow. So hopefully your thumb heals there, Alex. And as someone in the Twitter chat said, let's give a thumbs up to Alex Singleton.
He gave one.
Hit us with a thumbs up. He gave one. Hit us with that thumbs up for Alex Singleton. We know Alex. We know Alex would really appreciate it. So let's move on and hear from Dre Greenlaw. And before we do that, want to just give you a reminder that we've got the DNVR Broncos tailgate tier becoming a diehard. Now we've got the base tier and we've got the tailgate tier. So if you want to become a diehard right now and you're going to go to a tailgate of ours, you just got to go with the tailgate tier, because when you become a diehard on that tailgate tier, you get 2 free Broncos tailgate tickets. That's $140 value. Plus, of course, you get the free shirt, and you get all of our content for a year. Not just Broncos, but Nuggets, Avs, Rockies, Buffs, Rams, everything over at thednvr.com. And if you're in that base tier right now, you can upgrade to the tailgate tier, and you'll get a free shirt right away. So go to thednvr.com/intro. And again, for anyone, we have opened up Benny's Film Room Night to anyone. It's open to the public. RSVP over at thednvr.com/events. events. You can scan the QR code on the screen to get either of those. So make sure to come to Benny's film breakdown this week and get in on the DNVR diehards over at thednvr.com/intro. Thank you for the thumbs up, Cody. Thank you for the thumbs up, Jeremiah. And just make sure you hit that thumbs up button on YouTube to give us a like. We appreciate it. Okay, Henry, we talked to Dre Greenlaw for the first time. And when he gets up to the podium, he says, "About time." You're damn right it is about time. We've been looking forward to talking to Dre Greenlaw, arguably one of the most exciting signings, not just from the Broncos, but in all of free agency across the NFL. And man, he is a guy that is so easy to root for, not just because of the mentality he brings on the field, but the type of person he is off the field. And let's hear from Dre Greenlaw, because after practice today, before we talked to him, Sean Payton said that he plays like Mike Tyson.
Yes.
You feel him. He's tough. He's mean. And that's what you're starting to see from Dre Greenlaw on the field. So he was asked about that, about playing like Mike Tyson. And here's what Dre Greenlaw said.
How do you feel about that comparison?
Yeah, I've gotten that before for sure. I don't know. I like to play football. I go out there and I give them all. You never know when it's going to be our last chance on the field, last chance to play. So you want to make a strong statement anytime you can. So I just love doing it. I'm thankful to be able to do it. And,
The crazy thing that I noticed about just how big he is, the chains that he's wearing. The next clip we showed, just make sure to look. The chains he's wearing from like our perspective, and this clip does a good job showing it. It just looks like normal chains. They're huge, actual like pieces of chains that he's wearing, and they don't look like it because he is that big.
Yeah, he's just so stout.
He is.
Like he's just. Sometimes when you see like, I wonder what he's listed, probably 230 and 5'11". Maybe they give him 6 foot.
Yep.
But he's just so honestly, he kind of looks like Todd.
Yeah.
Like the way Todd is built, just like thick, which makes a lot of sense because they're both linebackers. But the difference is that
you hear his laughing back there.
Yeah, he's he's having the time of his life. With a guy like Alex Singleton, the fit is just so good. Again, we saw it with Josie Jewell and Alex, how they work together, having somebody who really does have that pop, somebody who has like that length. The combination of the two just puts you in a good spot.
Yep, it absolutely does. Dre went to call that, or no, Garrett called them the best linebacking duo in the NFL this year. I think they've got a chance. What I love is they complement each other so well. Dre, and Alex bring that attitude, but Dre's going to be a little more free because Alex is going to be just racking up the tackles, and Dre's, I think, is going to be the playmaker on this defense this year. Let's hear from Dre. Why did he choose the Broncos over the 49ers? I thought this answer was fascinating. And if there's anyone in San Francisco watching, you'll want to look at this because I think this says more about the 49ers than it necessarily does about the Broncos. This is a really cool answer that gets even deeper than football. Let's hear from Dre.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy, of course, but, I mean, they wanted me, you know what I mean? Throughout the whole time I was talking to Sean, there was never no if, ands, buts, maybe this or that. It was like, man, we want you to be here. And, you know, I mean, I was a foster kid growing up, so it's not a lot of times that people just wanted me, you know what I'm saying? So it just made me feel special. It made me feel like this is the place where I needed to be.
Man, foster kid growing up. And I mean, that's a deep, what he said is deep, and that is powerful and meaningful. He was a foster kid growing up and didn't feel like he was wanted through a lot of his life. And Sean Payton did that. Made sure that he felt wanted. And I think it really speaks to how the 49ers didn't make him feel like that clearly. And that's why he said, because the 49ers wanted him, they flew to Texas to his house after he agreed with the Broncos, just hadn't signed the papers to try to flip him. That's when they showed, okay, no, we actually want you. Too little, too late. Sorry. The Broncos have shown me this entire time that they want me. So I'm going to go to the team that actually wants me. So shout out to Sean Payton for showing him just how much they wanted him.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a big part of it. He also said, you know, you want to go somewhere where they have a chance to win a Super Bowl. You want to go somewhere with a quarterback. And he said the Broncos checked both those boxes.
Yeah, which is huge. He was asked about Bo Nix, and he said Bo Nix has one of the strongest arms he's ever seen.
Yeah.
So this arm talk from
So 49ers quarterbacks.
It's been really tough.
Those are not strong arm guys.
It's been a tough couple of days for Brock Purdy because
Brock Purdy, Jimmy Garoppolo.
Hufunga also said that in the past couple of days as well. And what's just cool hearing
Who else
about
did
this?
they have? Who would have been the strong arm guy?
Trey Lance.
Yeah.
It probably
When
had a
he
strong
was
arm.
even there,
They just
yeah.
never got to see it because he didn't do anything.
There wasn't another starter, was there? It was basically just those three. There was the year they had like Beathard and all those guys.
Yeah,
Josh Johnson got like the start or got to play in like a playoff game.
Yep.
It's not a list of strong armed guys.
No, it's certainly not a list of strong arm guys. This is, Sam Darnold as well was there.
That's right. Yeah.
And I just think that this is, they're trying to destroy this not strong enough arm
It does
narrative
look stronger.
that's coming out here.
Especially when he really, there's that one throw, again, like rolled out, throws it back against his body. And he's always had those arm angles. But yeah, it feels like we might see a lot of that.
Yep.
Again, with that bootleg and all that. That's the one where you just rip it like that. And you're like, oh, there's something there.
There's definitely something there. And shout out to Tom House for getting Bo's arm right, maybe the secret ingredient there. And then one final thing to hear from Dre Greenlaw that we thought you'd want to hear. He also talked about why he signed with the Broncos, and it hits on something that Henry's already said, but let's hear from Dre's mouth.
No doubt. I mean, once you start looking at the teams and free agency, next thing you look at after the defense is, all right, who got a quarterback and who got a chance to, make it, to the Super Bowl, and that's my mindset. But watching Bo play, I mean, he can run, he can throw, he can do everything on the field. One of the strongest arms I've seen too, especially as a year 2 guy. So, I mean, I just saw, I see the jump that he can make even from his first year to his second year, and he's a great leader. Seems like a great leader so far. He's vocal, like I said about Alex. He's vocal when he needs to be, and he's confident as hell too. So, I mean, that's what you need in a quarterback.
I love it. And man, Dre, such a great addition to this Broncos defense, and I think that's just what's going to take it over the top. There is so much hype within this Broncos defense, publicly and behind the scenes, about how they're going to be the best defense in the NFL, how unstoppable they're going to be, how they were good last year, really good last year, and how they're just going to blow that out of the water this year.
You hope so. I mean, again, like defenses have more like of a roller coaster to them year to year than than offenses, I guess. And a lot of that is probably just because the offense has a quarterback. There's one person you play through. But if you look at the top 10 defenses one year and the top 10 defenses the next, just so many changes. And I think having 63 sacks last year, I would be shocked if they get 63 again, just because it's so rare for a team to get that high. You need so many things to go well, and hopefully they do. The scheme is built for it. They've got the guys, but there aren't a lot of defenses that have been better than the Broncos were last year, really. And the idea that you will be better, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's not just something like a guarantee. It's not even a guarantee that they're going to be what they were last year, but with the talent they have, they have the chance to be as good as anybody.
I think they'll be better. I think they'll be the number one defense.
How do you measure that?
In the
DVOA
NFL.
points,
points, whatever. I think they're going to be that good. Okay. Before we get out of here, Henry, we've got some love coming to Courtland Sutton by the community, and let's hit some super chats. Our first super chat coming from Agent Cinco 007, who says, "No more yearly Sutton trade rumors for 2 or 3 years." You're darn right about that. Sutton is here to stay, and no more rumors. Thankfully, that's been like the past 2 or 3 years that we've had to deal with that. No more. Ziggy says, been dreaming of our defense without fighting against our horrible 3-and-outs. Which newcomer on offense will help eliminate the 3-and-outs the most, Henry?
I mean, Ingram is the easy answer. I don't even know who else it would be.
JK probably number 2.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
I think it is.
It's Ingram number 1.
It's just having that guy who's just going to be open. It's like, oh, Courtland's not up there deep. Like, how many times have we seen, like, flip it to Evan late 5 yards and maybe he runs for more? Just staying on schedule and then having him on third downs as well. That's the difference. Because the Broncos were like 29th in third down or 3-and-out rate last year, I want to say. Again, that's another one of those stats where you'd say when you're that low, there's some flukiness. You'd expect it just randomly to get better. And then you have all the other reasons to be more optimistic about the offense this year. It would be really nice if that was the case.
It certainly would be. And some love for Court to round us out. Cody, our guy, says cheers to Courtland. He deserved that deal, number 14. And Triple G15 says shout out to Court for holding strong. Denver Bronco for life. LFG. I love it. We're going to round out this show now with a little LFB. Let's frickin' bow. That's going to do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast right around 2 p.m. Stay tuned for a practice update of practice number 6. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.